Welcome to Microsoft Azure Fundamentals AZ-900 exam questions. I am your host John Menz from Certificate Hub Academy. Question 1. You are building an application using a virtual machine in Azure. As a security requirement, it is necessary to apply Azure Multi-Factor Authentication, MFA, based on certain conditions. Which Azure service should you choose? Option 1. Azure Monitor 2. Azure Security Center. 3. Azure Active Directory ID Protection 4. Azure Advanced Threat Protection, ATP. Right answer is 3. Azure Active Directory ID Protection. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. This is because Azure Active Directory ID Protection allows you to apply MFA with conditions. It is also used to detect risks, such as anonymous IP address logins, unfamiliar sign-ins, and credential leaks. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Monitor is incorrect because this is for collecting what is known as application monitoring data, data about the performance and functionality of the code you write, regardless of platform. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Security Center is an integrated infrastructure security management system that enhances the security structure of the data center. It's an advanced threat protection feature that protects your entire hybrid workload, both on the cloud and on-premises. With this option, you can't use MFA. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure ATP is incorrect because it is used to monitor and analyze user activity and information across the network, such as permissions and group membership. Question 2. Fill in the blank. Provides a command platform for deploying objects to your cloud infrastructure and maintaining consistency throughout your Azure environment. Option 1. Azure Policy. 2. Resource Group. 3. Azure Resource Manager. 4. Management Group. Right answer is 3. Azure Resource Manager. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Azure Resource Manager is a service that provides a management layer that allows you to create, update, and delete Azure resources, all while maintaining consistency across your Azure environment. Option 2 is incorrect. A resource group is a group that manages related resources in an Azure solution. Option 4 is incorrect. A management group is a group for managing multiple subscriptions. Question 3. You are planning to extend your company's network to Azure and create a hybrid cloud configuration. In the on-premises environment, a VPN appliance that has the IP address of 136.168.103.1 is used, and it is necessary to identify this on the Azure side. Which is the best solution for this situation? Option 1. Route Table. 2. Application Gateway. 3. Local Network Gateway. 4. Network Interface. Right answer is 3. Local Network Gateway. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. The local network gateway can be used to specify the IP address of the VPN device in the virtual network. This allows Azure to identify VPN appliances that use the IP address of 136.168.103.1. Option 1 is incorrect. The routing table is the route information recorded in the router itself. It is the table to be referred to when performing the routing process, but it does not identify the IP address of the VPN appliance. Option 2 is incorrect. Application gateways are used to load balance traffic to various web applications. It does not identify the IP address of the VPN appliance. Option 4 is incorrect. The network interface allows Azure VM to communicate with Internet, Azure, and on-premises resources. It does not identify the IP address of the VPN appliance. Question 4. Which of the following Azure regions is available to Japanese government agencies? Option 1. Azure Global. 2. Azure Government. 3. Azure Local. 4. Azure Japan. Right answer is 1. Azure Global. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. The Azure region available to Japanese government agencies is Azure Global. Azure Global is a publicly available region that the average user will use. There is no region dedicated to Japanese government agencies, so Azure Global should be used in this case. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Government is a mission-critical cloud that delivers breakthrough innovations to U.S. government customers and their partners. Only the U.S. federal government, state governments, local governments, tribal governments, and their partners have access to this dedicated instance, and operations are managed by selected U.S. citizens. Option 3 is incorrect. There is no region called Azure Local. Option 4 is incorrect. There is no region called Azure Japan. There are Azure China and Azure Germany. Question 5. Please select the option to fill in the following blank. There is an Azure virtual network named VNet in a resource group named My Resource Group. VNet when you assign an Azure policy that says that My Resource Group is not allowed to create /update virtual networks. Option 1 is automatically deleted. 2 is automatically moved to another resource group. 3 will continue to function normally. 4 becomes a read-only object. Right answer is 3. Will continue to function normally. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Azure policies do not affect the pre-apply configuration. Therefore, VNet works fine because it was already created before the Azure policy was created. Question 6. Your company wants to use a serverless application to automate the data registration process. Which Azure service should you use? Option 1. Azure App Service. 2. Azure Functions. 3. Azure DevOps. 4. Azure Monitor. Right answer is 2. Azure Functions. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. Azure Functions is an event-driven serverless computing platform that can solve complex orchestration problems. You can use this to develop serverless applications. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure App Service is a fully managed development platform for building, deploying, and scaling web apps. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure DevOps is a development and operations service that enables smarter planning and DevOps work using the latest set of development services. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Monitor is a monitoring service for applications, infrastructure, and networks on Azure. Question 7. You want to deploy multiple web servers and multiple database servers in Azure. As a security measure, you need to limit the connection to the database server to be only from the web server. Which solution should you use for this? Option 1. Azure Service Bus. 2. Azure DDoS Protection. 3. Route Filter. 4. Network Security Group. Right answer is 4. Network Security Group. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. You can use Azure Network Security Groups to filter network traffic to and from Azure resources in your Azure Virtual Network. Network Security Groups contain security rules that allow or deny inbound/outbound network traffic to many types of Azure resources. You can specify the source, destination, port, and protocol for each rule. Option 1 is incorrect. Microsoft Azure Service Bus is a fully managed enterprise integration message broker with message queues and publish/subscribe topics. Option 2 is incorrect. DDoS Protection is a service that provides constant monitoring and automatic network attack mitigation. It protects your Azure resources from distributed denial of service (DDoS) attacks. Question 8. Which of the following statements is correct? Option 1. Data stored in your Azure storage account will have at least 2 copies in the primary region. 2. Data stored in your Azure storage account will have at least 3 copies in the secondary region. 3. Data stored in your Azure storage account will have at least 2 copies in the secondary region. 4. Data stored in your Azure storage account will have at least 3 copies in the primary region. Right answer is 4. Data stored in your Azure storage account will have at least 3 copies in the primary region. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. Data in your Azure storage account is always replicated 3 times in the primary region. The Azure storage account copies the data 3 times within the primary region and keeps them synchronous with each other. It is also asynchronously copied to the secondary region. An Azure storage account contains all Azure storage data objects, blobs, files, queues, tables, and disks. Option 1 is incorrect. Data in your Azure storage account is always replicated 3 times in the primary region. Question 9. Your company leverages multiple regions to deploy Azure virtual machines. Users in each office are required to create Azure resources only in the region of the country in which their office is located. Which is the best solution from the below options to make sure that these rules are being followed correctly? Option 1. Resource Group 2. Compliance Policy. 3. Azure Policy. 4. Azure Rules. Right answer is 3. Azure Policy. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Azure Policy allows you to apply your organization's standards and assess compliance with them on a large scale. You can use Azure Policies to apply policies to management groups or resource groups that limit the space available for creating resources. This policy applies to all subscriptions and resources under that management group by only allowing the creation of resources in that region. You can define policies used to limit use of Azure resources to only the region in which each office is located. Question 10. You plan to build a web application using multiple Azure virtual machines. The requirement is to ensure that the services running on the virtual machine do not stop in the event of a single data center failure. Proposed solution. Deploy virtual machines in 2 or more regions. Is this the most appropriate solution to meet the above requirements? Option 1. Yes. 2. No. Right answer is 2. No. Explanation. A no is the correct answer. A single region is made up of multiple availability zones. Therefore, to prevent a single data center failure, you only need to use multiple availability zones and do not need to have a multi-region configuration. In addition, multi-region support is not optimal in terms of architectural configuration because it is difficult to link virtual machines across regions. Question 11. Which service provides network traffic filtering for multiple Azure subscriptions and virtual networks? Option 1. Azure Firewall. 2. Application Security Group. 3. Azure DDoS Protection. 4. Network Security Group. Right answer is 1. Azure Firewall. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. Azure Firewall allows you to limit traffic to different virtual networks with multiple subscriptions. Option 2 is incorrect. Application security groups are services for grouping virtual machines and managing access within a virtual network. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure DDoS Protection is a service that prevents distributed denial of service (DDoS) attacks. Option 4 is incorrect. A network security group is a service that manages access within a virtual network. Question 12. Which deployment method should you choose to reduce downtime for the application you are deploying? Option 1. Multi-AZ deployment. 2. Multi-region deployment. 3. Single AZ deployment. 4. Multi-subnet deployment. Right answer is 1. Multi-AZ deployment. Explanation. Option 1. Azure's architectural configuration is built around regions and availability zones as each region is a separate geographical area. Each region is further made up of multiple availability zones. A multi-AZ configuration can increase availability so that downtime does not occur, even if one data center fails. Therefore, multi-AZ is the correct answer. Question 13. What are the security benefits of storing data in the Azure public cloud? Option 1. Azure staff can protect your data. 2. Users have full control over their data. 3. Data content can be monitored on the Azure side. 4. Protection is automatically implemented without the need for users to manage their own data security measures. Right answer is 2. Users have full control over their data. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. In Azure, all the data used in applications is completely controlled by the user, and Azure themselves do not have the authority to access the data. Options 1 and 3 are incorrect. Azure does not have permission to access the data. Option 4 is incorrect. Users are required to take measures such as data encryption themselves. Question 14. Please fill in the blank. Your company should use to automatically add watermarks to Microsoft Word documents that contain credit card information. Option 1. Azure Policy. 2. Azure DDoS Protection. 3. Azure Information Protection. 4. Azure Active Directory Identity Protection. Right answer is 3. Azure Information Protection. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Azure Information Protection can label content to detect, classify, and protect documents and emails. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure policies are for applying organizational rules and checking compliance of resources. It does not have document protection features. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure DDoS Protection is a service to prevent distributed denial of service (DDoS) attacks and does not have document protection features. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Active Directory Identity Protection is used for identity-based risk analysis using data from the Azure portal and has no document protection capabilities. Question 15. Which of the following Azure management tools are available for macOS? Please select the 3 most appropriate tools. Option 1. Azure CLI. 2. Azure PowerShell. 3. Azure Mac Management. 4. Azure Portal. 5. Azure Console. Right answer is 1. Azure CLI. 2. Azure PowerShell. 4. Azure Portal. Explanation. Options 1, 2, and 4 are correct answers. You can use the Azure CLI, Azure Portal, and Azure PowerShell for macOS. The macOS operating system is supported by the Azure CLI, Azure Portal, and Azure PowerShell. Starting with PowerShell 6.0, PowerShell Core can run PowerShell on macOS and Linux. What are the correct features of Azure Resource Manager? Please select the 3 correct options from the following. Option 1. Resource Group. 2. Tags. 3. Deployment of ARM templates. 4. Activity logs. 5. Billing confirmation. Right answer. 1. Resource Group. 2. Tags. 3. Deployment of ARM templates. Explanation. Azure Resource Manager is an Azure deployment and management service that lets you use your infrastructure as code, making sure that your Azure solution is deployed and managed effectively. It provides the following functions. Use the Azure Resource Manager template, ARM template, to implement the infrastructure as code for your Azure solution. Resource group setting, resource management by tagging and locking is possible. You can use Azure Managed Applications to provide cloud solutions that users can easily deploy and operate. The Azure Custom Resource Provider allows you to define custom API that you can use to enhance your default Azure experience. Therefore, options 1, 2, and 3 are correct. Question 2. What do you call a section of independent operational infrastructure located within a region? Option 1. Availability Zone 2. Region 3. Resource Group 4. Subnet. Right answer. 1. Availability Zone. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. In Azure, an independent infrastructure operational partition located within a region is called an availability zone. Option 2 is incorrect. A group of data centers connected by a high-speed network that is geographically adjacent to each other in Azure is called a region. Option 3 is incorrect. Use resource groups to define resources as one group. Resources with the same life cycle can be grouped together in the same resource group. When you delete a resource group, all the resources on it are also deleted. Option 4 is incorrect. A subnet is a subnetwork that divides a virtual network. Question 3. Your company develops 2 applications. How do you need to design each application separately in order to develop them independently? Option 1. Isolate availability zones. 2. Separate regions. 3. Separate subnets. 4. Isolate the virtual network. Right answer. 4. Isolate the virtual network. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. Azure Virtual Network, VNet, is a basic component of a private network within Azure. By separating the virtual network, you can separate the applications. VNet also allows different types of Azure resources, such as Azure Virtual Machines, VMs, to securely communicate with other Azure resources, the Internet, and on-premises networks. Option 1 is incorrect. You do not need to separate availability zones in order to separate applications. Separating zones is done for improving redundancy. Option 2 is incorrect. You don't need to separate regions in order to separate applications. Deploying multiple applications within the same region is normal. Option 3 is incorrect. Separating virtual network subnets does not separate communication between applications. It is necessary to separate the virtual network. Question 4. Your company needs a VPN connection between Azure and the on-premises environment in order for the on-premises system on the corporate network to interact with the applications configured on Azure. Please select the Azure resource that you should use. Choose the 2 best solutions. Option 1. Customer Gateway. 2. Virtual Network Gateway. 3. Local Network Gateway. 4. NAT Gateway. 5. Private Gateway. Right answer. 2. Virtual Network Gateway. 3. Local Network Gateway. Explanation. The Azure VPN Gateway provides a cross-premises connection between on-premises and Azure. Virtual Network Gateways are a type of VPN gateway. It is necessary to configure when making a VPN connection. VPN connection implementation task. Creating a virtual network. Creating a VNet virtual network gateway. Creating a local network gateway. Create a VPN connection. Check/confirm the connection. Therefore, options 2 and 3 are correct. Question 5. Which of the following Microsoft Azure services is available to all developers without requiring machine learning expertise? Option 1. Azure Machine Learning. 2. Azure Bot Service. 3. DSVM. 4. Azure Cognitive Service. Right answer. 4. Azure Cognitive Service. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. Cognitive Services is an AI platform that can be used by all developers without needing any machine learning expertise via API. You can embed AI functions such as image identification in the app with this. Option 1 is incorrect. a platform for building machine learning that allows you to build and deploy models more quickly with enterprise-specific machine learning services. It can be created in a workflow format, but it requires certain machine learning coding expertise. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Bot Services is a service that allows you to create and publish chatbots. Option 3 is incorrect. DSVM is an Azure Virtual Machine image pre-installed, configured, and tested using common tools commonly used in data analysis, machine learning, and AI training. Question 6. You are planning to run an Azure Powershell script from your Linux computer. What kind of preparation do you need? Please select the two most suitable solutions. Option 1. Install the Powershell software. 2. Install PowerShell Core. 3. Install Azure PowerShell Core. 4. Install the PowerShell Terminal. 5. Install the Azure PowerShell module. Right answer. 2. Install PowerShell Core. 5. Install the Azure PowerShell module. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. Starting with PowerShell 6.0, PowerShell Core can run PowerShell on Mac OS and Linux. Option 5 is the correct answer. Use the Azure PowerShell module to create and manage Azure resources with the PowerShell command line and scripts. You can use the Azure PowerShell module to deploy Linux virtual machines, VMs, to Azure. Question 7. True or false? Azure Virtual Machine Usage Charge is decided only on time in seconds. Option 1. True. 2. False. Right answer. 2. False. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Azure's pricing is pay-as-you-go. You pay only for what you use. Prices fluctuate according to resource usage time and the kind of usage, whether you use extensions and also support. Azure virtual machines are charged per seconds depending on usage time. It was originally billed in minutes, but in line with AWS billing in seconds, Azure On-Demand VM have been changed to bill in seconds. In line with AWS, many virtual machines are now being billed in seconds. Question 8. Your company is planning a hybrid cloud with an on-premises environment and Azure. Currently, users are managed in the office using Active Directory Domain Service, which is the best solution for managing users in Azure with on-premises. Management information. Option 1. Deploy and sync with Azure Active Directory. 2. Introduce Azure policy and enable user account integration. 3. Deploy and sync Azure AD Connect. 4. Introduce Azure Active Directory and enable user account integration. Right answer. 3. Deploy and sync Azure AD Connect. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Azure AD Connect is Microsoft's tool designed to meet hybrid identity goals. By executing the synchronization function, the identity information of on-premises users and groups can be matched with the cloud side. Options 1 and 4 are incorrect. Azure Active Directory, Azure AD, is a cloud-based identity and access management service provided by Microsoft that helps you sign in and access Microsoft 365, the Azure portal, and more. Since it is used for user management to Azure, it cannot be synchronized with the on-premises environment by itself. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Policy is an Azure feature used to create, assign, and manage policies that allows you to apply different rules and effects to resources to manage their permissions. Question 9. You are considering using Azure Blueprints to streamline subscription, compliance management. Choose 2 correct options for features on Azure Blueprints. Option 1. Azure Policy Assignment. 2. Resource Tag Standardization. 3. Templated Resources. 4. Role-Based Access Permission Settings, RBAC. Right answer. 1. Azure Policy Assignment. 4. Role-Based Access Permission Settings, are back. Explanation. Azure Blueprints allow you to define a repeatable set of Azure resources based on the requirements that your organization must comply with. Specifically, the following settings can be standardized and set so that they can be used repeatedly. Role-based permissions, policy assignment, Azure Resource Manager template, ARM template, resource group. Therefore, options 1 and 4 are correct. Question 10. True or false? Prices vary between availability zones in the same region. Option 1. True. 2. False. Right answer. 2. False. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Prices are the same across availability zones within the same region. Azure, which has data centers around the world, has different prices depending on the products offered by each region, but the prices are the same within the same region, and there is no difference between availability zones. Question 11. You are monitoring the activities performed by users and want to store that data that is returned. Please select 3 solutions that will work for this. Option 1. Azure Monitor. 2. Azure Events Hubs. 3. Azure Storage. 4. Azure Data Factory. 5. Azure Logs. Right answer. 1. Azure Monitor. 2. Azure Events Hubs. 3. Azure Storage. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. Azure Monitor collects monitoring data from a variety of on-premises and Azure sources. Management tools, such as those provided by Azure Security Center and Azure Automation, also push log data to Azure Monitor. Options 2 and 3 are correct answers. By default, activity logs are automatically saved for 90 days, but if you want to save logs over the medium to long term, you can save data in Azure Storage or Azure Events Hubs. When you select the Event Hub's namespace, Azure Monitor creates an event hub in that namespace, named Insights Logs Operational Logs. For other log types, you can choose an existing event hub, or Azure Monitor can create an event hub for each log category. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Data Factory is a hybrid data integration solution available on an enterprise scale. Option 5 is incorrect. There is no service called Azure Logs. Question 12. True or false? Data transfer between Azure services within the same region incurs a cost. Option 1. True. 2. False. Right answer, 2. False. Explanation. The correct answer is false. There is no charge for data transfer between services within the same region. For example, there is no additional data transfer cost for inter-virtual machine communication within the same region. You will be charged for data transfers between Azure services in the 2 regions. Question 13. Your company configures a hybrid cloud with an on-premises environment and Azure. You are trying to set up integrated monitoring of servers in your on-premises environment and Azure virtual machines. Which solution is best for this? Option 1. Azure Log Analytics. 2. Azure Logs Monitor. 3. Azure Events Hubs. 4. Azure Monitor Logs. Right answer. 1. Azure Log Analytics. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. Azure Log Analytics is a service that can collect and analyze logs of Azure services. It is also possible to collect and analyze logs of Windows and Linux servers, of not only those on Azure, but also on premises and other cloud services. Azure Log Analytics can acquire logs by installing an agent on the targeted server, set a threshold for the collected data, and have an alert issued. In addition, it makes it easier to understand the log status by aggregating the collected data on the dashboard and graphing it. Option 2 is incorrect. There is no feature called Azure Logs Monitor. Option 3 is incorrect. Event Hubs is a fully managed real-time data acquisition service. This can be used for streaming activity logs, but it is not used for server log acquisition/analysis. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Monitor Logs was the old name for Azure Log Analytics and is no longer in use. Question 14. True or false? Global infrastructure deployment can be implemented immediately. Option 1. True. 2. False. Right answer. 1. True. Explanation. The correct answer is true. Azure is deployed globally, allowing you to deploy infrastructure instantly to any region in any country. For example, a user living in Tokyo can select a region in the United States to deploy their infrastructure. Question 15. In regards to moving Azure resources from one subscription to another, which of the following are correct statements? Please select 2. Option 1. Resource transfer between subscriptions is not possible. 2. There is a charge for moving resources between subscriptions. 3. You can move some resources between subscriptions, but not all. 4. Source and target resource groups are locked during the move. 5. Limited source and target resource groups can be moved. Right answer. 3. You can move some resources between subscriptions, but not all. 4. Source and target resource groups are locked during the move. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. The resource you want to move must support the move operation. Option 4 is the correct answer. When you move resources between subscriptions, both the source and target groups are locked during that time. Write and delete operations on these resource groups will be blocked until the move is complete. Therefore, you cannot add, update, or delete resources in the resource group. Option 1 is incorrect. You can move resources between subscriptions. Option 2 is incorrect. Transferring resources between subscriptions is free. Option 5 is incorrect. The source and target resource groups that can be moved are locked rather than limited. Question 1. You want to subscribe to an Azure support plan so you can get support over the phone. Which support plan should you subscribe to in order to get this service? Please select 3 appropriate support plans. Option 1. Professional Direct 2. Standard 3. Developer 4. Basic 5. Premier. Right answer. 1. Professional Direct. 2. Standard 5. Premier. Explanation. After the port request is submitted, there are 3 Azure support plans: Standard, Professional Direct, and Premier, which provide 24/7 access to technical support via email and phone. Therefore, options 1, 2, and 5 are correct. Options 3 and 4 are incorrect. With the basic and developer plans, you can only make inquiries by email. Question 2. You want to subscribe to an Azure support plan so that you can get design reviews based on your specifications. Which support plan should you subscribe to? Please select the appropriate support plan. Option 1. Professional Direct 2, Standard 3, Developer 4, Basic 5, Premier. Right answer. 5. Premier. Explanation. Option 5 is the correct answer. The Premier plan provides advisory services based on best practices for solving scenarios based on user requirements for migration, deployment, development, optimization, design and implementation, and performance tuning using Azure. Other plans only provide general guidance and do not provide user-specific support. Question 3. Which of the following review types will be implemented as the second stage of Azure's new service launch process? Option 1. Private Review 2. Public Review 3. User Review 4. Limited Review. Right answer. 2. Public review. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. Public review is the second stage of the review method for publishing new services in Azure. In a public review, at this stage, all customers with the appropriate Azure AD license can evaluate the new features. New features in Azure will be reviewed and released in the following stages. 1. Private review. 2. Public review. 3. General availability. Option 1 is incorrect. Private reviews are reviews that are initially conducted only by a limited number of users. Option 3 is incorrect. There is no implementation method called user review. Option 4 is incorrect. There is no limited review method. Question 4. True or false? There is no additional cost to use Azure globally across multiple regions. Option 1. True. 2. False. Right answer. 1. True. Explanation. The correct answer is true. There is no additional cost to use Azure globally across multiple regions in of itself. In Azure, the cost depends on the resources used. Question 5. True or false? It is necessary to carry out management for each region individually. Option 1. True. 2. False. Right answer. 2. False. Explanation. The correct answer is false. It is not always necessary to manage each region, and global services can be centrally managed in multiple regions. For example, when performing monitoring, you can leverage Azure Monitor to collect and manage monitoring from a variety of sources in Azure, on-premises, and in multiple regions. Question 6. True or false? If you are in Japan, you must use the East Japan region or the West Japan region. Option 1. True. 2. False. Right answer. 2. False. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Even if you are in Japan, you do not necessarily have to use a region within Japan. For whatever reason, like for compliance or disaster recovery, you can use Azure in the region that best suits your specific needs. You can use the drop-down menu to select an Azure region and compare it to other regions nearby. Question 7. You are building a web application using multiple Azure virtual machines. All virtual machines must be assigned the same permissions. Choose the one that works best to set permissions efficiently. Option 1. Start the virtual machines on the same virtual network. 2. Set up virtual machines in the same resource group. 3. Set the same Azure policy on the virtual machines. 4. Set up the same network security group for the virtual machines. Right answer. 2. Set up virtual machines in the same resource group. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. By setting virtual machines in the same resource group, you can control permissions by setting one permission for the resource group. Use Azure RBAC to allow management of all resources in a resource group. Option 1 is incorrect. It is not possible to set permissions collectively by simply starting virtual machines on the same virtual network. Option 3 is incorrect. By setting the same Azure policy for the virtual machine, it is possible to set rules such as resource configuration. This is different from permissions, however. Option 4 is incorrect. Traffic control can be shared by setting virtual machines in the same network security group, but this is different from permissions. In addition, security groups need to be set for each resource. Question 8. You are currently creating 5 virtual networks in one region and running 6 Azure virtual machines in each virtual network. It is necessary to set a minimum network security group for traffic control of these virtual machines. Select the correct number of minimum network security groups needed for this. Option 1. 526. 3. 34. 1. Right answer. 4. 1. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. Network security groups can be reused in the same way for a region. In other words, it is possible to assign one network security group to all virtual machines configured in the same region and control traffic. Question 9. True or false? You can configure MFA by deploying a federation service. Option 1. True. 2. False. Right answer. 1. True. Explanation. The correct answer is true. There are many ways to implement MFA in Azure, including using conditional access policies. For hybrid identities, you can configure MFA when deployed while synchronized or federated with on-premises Active Directory domain services and Azure Active Directory. Question 10. True or false? When you configure MFA for your ID, you need to sync your on-premises ID to the cloud. Option 1. True. 2. False. Right answer. 2. False. Explanation. The correct answer is false. There are many ways to implement MFA in Azure, such as using conditional access policies, but it's not mandatory to sync your on-premises identity to the cloud as a condition. Question 11. You have built an application with an Azure virtual machine. This application delivers video content. Choose one of the following as the best solutions to improve the delivery processing performance of this application. Option 1. Azure CDN. 2. Azure DNS. 3. Azure Databricks. 4. Azure Cache for Redis. Right answer. 1. Azure CDN. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. Azure CDN is a secure, reliable, and fast content delivery network. You can use the Azure Content Delivery Network, CDN, to reduce load times, save bandwidth, and improve responsiveness. You can develop and manage websites and mobile apps, as well as accelerate streaming media and game software, firmware updates, and EOT endpoint encoding and delivery. Option 2 is incorrect. There is no service called Azure DNS. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure Databricks integrates this collaborative Apache, Spark-based analytics service with other big data services in Azure. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Cache for Redis is a fast, fully managed in-memory data store. It is not used for content delivery. Question 12. You are building a mechanism to save log files using blob storage. This data is rarely accessed. Choose the storage type that is most cost-effective. Option 1. Hot. 2. Cool. 3. Archive. 4. Standard. Right answer. 3. Archive. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Azure Blob Storage provides a variety of access tiers that allow you to store blob object data in the most cost-effective way. The features of the access layer are as follows. Hot Optimized is for storing frequently accessed data. This is the most expensive. Cool Optimized is for storing data that is accessed infrequently but is to be stored for at least 30 days. It's expensive compared to archives, but cheaper than Hot. Archive Optimized is for storing data that is rarely accessed, stored for at least 180 days, and has flexible latency requirements in hours. This is the cheapest. Question 13. You are considering an architectural configuration using Azure. Select the correct description for the contents of the availability set. Option 1. Fault domains are affected during Azure Maintenance Reboot. 2. Update domains share common power supplies, network devices, etc. 3. Up to 20 update domains can be set. 4. Up to 10 fault domains can be set. Right answer. 3. Up to 20 update domains can be set. Explanation. When using a virtual machine on Azure for a redundant configuration, use the availability set to select the fault domain and update domain. A fault domain is a range for fault classification that shares a common power supply and network equipment. You can select from 1 to 3. The update domain is the range for updates that is affected by the maintenance reboot of Azure. You can select from 1 to 20. Therefore, option 3 is the correct explanation. Question 14. Choose the best solutions for connecting virtual networks between regions. Option 1. Virtual Network Peering 2. Site-to-Site VPN 3. Global Virtual Network Peering 4. Express Route. Right answer. 3. Global Virtual Network Peering. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Global Virtual Network Peering is used to connect virtual networks between regions. Virtual network peering allows you to seamlessly connect 2 or more virtual networks in Azure. Virtual networks effectively act as a single network in the connection. Azure supports the following types of peering. Virtual network peering. Connect virtual networks in the same Azure region. Global virtual network peering. Connect virtual networks between Azure regions. Question 15. True or false? The size of the virtual machine is fixed. Option 1. True. 2. False. Right answer. 2. False. Explanation. The correct answer is false. The size of the virtual machine is not fixed, and you can change the size of the virtual machine once created later. After you create a virtual machine VM, you can scale up or down the VM by resizing the VM. In some cases, you may need to delocate the VM first. This can happen if the new size is not available on the hardware cluster that currently hosts the VM. Question 1. True or false? You can conduct troubleshooting with the scanner diagnostic tool. Option 1. True. 2. False. Right answer is 1. True. Explanation. The correct answer is true. If Azure Information Protection, APE, encounters a problem with Azure Information Scanner, it uses the Start AppScan Diagnostic PowerShell command to verify that the deployment is successful as follows. The diagnostic tool reviews the following details and exports the log file with the results: whether the database is up to date, whether you can access the network URL, whether there is a valid authentication token, and whether the policy can be obtained, whether the profile is defined in the Azure portal, whether offline/online configuration exists and can be obtained, whether the configured rules are valid. Question 2. True or false? You can protect your credentials with Azure Information Protection, APE. Option 1. True. 2. False. Right answer is 2. False. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Azure Information Protection cannot protect your credentials. Azure Information Protection, APE, is a cloud-based solution. This allows organizations to label, content to detect, classify, and protect documents and email. AIP is part of the Microsoft Information Protection, MIP, solution. This extends the labeling and classification capabilities provided by Microsoft 365. Question 3. True or false? The developer support plan allows you to contact a Microsoft support engineer by phone or email. Option 1. True. 2. False. Right answer is 2. False. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Developer support does not have access to technical support by telephone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Only email is available during business hours. The developer plan includes billing and subscription management support, 24/7 self-help resources, Microsoft Learn, Azure portal instructions on how to use videos, documentation, community support, and ability to send as many support tickets as you need. Azure Advisor is a free, personalized guide for customers about Azure best practices and Azure health and notifications. Question 4. True or false? The basic support plan allows you to contact a Microsoft support engineer by phone or email. Option 1. True. 2. False. Right answer is 2. False. Explanation. The correct answer is false. With the basic support plan, you will not have access to technical support by email and phone. You can submit support requests. Question 5. True or false? The standard support plan allows you to contact a Microsoft support engineer by phone or email. Option 1. True. 2. False. Right answer is 1. True. Explanation. The correct answer is true. With the standard support plan, you can get unlimited technical support by phone or email 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. In addition to the support available in the standard support plan, you'll also receive support for Azure Support REST API, operations support, training, and proactive guidance. Question 6. What do you need when setting up a site-to-site VPN? Option 1. Customer Gateway 2. Application Gateway 3. Virtual Machine 4. VPN Gateway. Right answer is 4. VPN Gateway. Explanation. The option 4 is the correct answer. VPN gateways allow you to make secure encrypted network connections between your Azure Virtual Network and your on-premises environment, or between your Azure virtual networks. Option 1 is incorrect. There is no service called Customer Gateway in Azure. Option 2 is incorrect. The Application Gateway is a load balancer that manages traffic to your application. Option 3 is incorrect. You cannot set up a site-to-site VPN just by starting a virtual machine. Question 7. You want to limit the regions available for your subscription to the East Japan region. What would you use to do this? Option 1. Azure Subscription 2. Azure Monitor. 3. Azure AD 4. Azure Policy. Right answer is 4. Azure Policy. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. You can use Azure policies to limit the regions where your subscription is available. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure subscriptions alone cannot limit the scope of resources. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Monitor collects metrics from a variety of on-premises and Azure resources. You cannot limit the range of resources with this. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure AD is a mechanism used for user management and authentication management. You cannot limit the range of resources with this. Question 8. What is the maximum number of virtual machines that can be set in a virtual machine scale set? Option 112, 103, 104, 1000. Right answer is 4. 1000. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. The scale set supports up to 1000 VM machines. Azure Virtual Machine Scale sets let you create and manage a group of load-balanced VM. The number of VM instances can automatically increase or decrease in response to demand or a defined schedule. Scale sets support up to 1000 VM instances for standard marketplace images and custom images through the shared image gallery. If you create a scale set using a managed image, The limit is 600 VM instances. Question 9. Which Azure tool can manage multiple subscriptions hierarchically? Option 1. Azure Active Directory 2. Resource Group 3. Management Group 4. User Group. Right answer is 3. Management Group. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Management groups allow you to organize your subscriptions into a hierarchy and apply unified policies and access controls. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Active Directory is a cloud-based identity and access management service that does not manage subscriptions. Option 2 is incorrect. A resource group is a service for managing multiple resources and does not manage subscriptions. Option 4 is incorrect. User groups are a mechanism for grouping and managing Active Directory users and do not manage subscriptions. Question 10. Which country in Europe has its own Azure region specifically set to strictly adhere to data privacy standards? Option 1. Italy. 2. England. 3. France. 4. Germany. Right answer is 4. Germany. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. Azure has a special region in Germany called Azure Germany. Azure Germany is subject to special security and compliance services to meet German data privacy standards. Question 11. Select the 2 features that the virtual machine scale set provides as core features. Option 1. Domain configuration 2. Executing custom code 3. Load distribution between virtual machines. 4. Firewall 5. Virtual machine auto-scaling. Right answer is 3. Load distribution between virtual machines 5. Virtual machine auto-scaling. Explanation. Options 3 and 5 are correct. The virtual machine scale set provides an auto-scaling feature that automatically creates and embeds a load balancer. These are built in as core features of Azure virtual machines. Question 12. What is the network layer of network security? Option 1. Subnet configuration 2. Firewall 3. SSH protocol connection. 4. Load balancer. Right answer is 1. Subnet configuration. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. A subnet is a mechanism that divides the allocation of resources by dividing a virtual network and constitutes the network layer. Option 2 is incorrect. Firewalls form a security layer above the transport layer. Option 3 is incorrect. SSH ensures security above the session layer. Option 4 is incorrect. A load balancer is a core feature of virtual servers used for load balancing purposes. Question 13. What will happen if you exceed the $200 credit for your free tier? Option 1. You cannot add resources unless you move to a paid tier. 2. All services will be suspended, and you can select whether to continue using the service as a paid user. 3. You can continue to use it, but you will be automatically charged for usage over $200. 4. The account will be closed and unavailable. Right answer is 2. All services will be suspended, and you can select whether to continue using the service as a paid user. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. If you run out of free credits, all resources will be suspended until you get a paid account. Question 14. Please select all the correct statements below about the documentation provided by the Microsoft Service Trust Portal. Option 1. Documentation that can be used to show Microsoft's compliance efforts. 2. Documentation for individual Azure services and solutions. 3. Specific recommendations on how to use and improve Azure. 4. Penetration test results. 5. Security evaluation. Right answer is 1. Documentation that can be used to show Microsoft's compliance efforts. 4. Penetration test results. 5. Security evaluation. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. The Microsoft Service Trust Portal provides a variety of content, tools, and other resources for Microsoft security, privacy, and compliance. The answer is correct because there is a description about compliance in it. Option 4 is the correct answer. The answer is correct because you can see the results of penetration testing by an independent third party. Option 5 is the correct answer. The Microsoft Service Trust Portal can be evaluated for security. Therefore, it is the correct answer. Options 2, 3, and 4 are incorrect. As the Microsoft Service Trust Portal is a portal that provides resources on security, privacy, and compliance, it does not provide documentation on Azure services and solutions, nor does it provide guidance on how to improve the service. Question 15. Which Azure service alerts you to service issues that originate from Azure itself, i.e. issues that are not due to user action? Option 1. Azure Portal Dashboard. 2. Azure Security Center. 3. Azure Monitor. 4. Azure Service Health. Right answer is 4. Azure Service Health. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. Azure Service Health notifies you of Azure-related service issues, including region-wide downtime. Therefore, it is the correct answer. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Portal Dashboard is a visualization tool that centrally organizes cloud resources. Therefore, it is a mistake because it does not give a warning about the service. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Security Center is a service on Azure that aims to enhance security. Security diagnosis, protection, and threat detection are performed on a subscription-by-subscription basis. Azure Service Health Security Advisory notifications cover platform vulnerabilities and security and privacy breaches at the Azure service level. Azure Security Center security notifications target vulnerabilities in individual Azure resources that are affected. This option is incorrect as it will warn you of security issues, not health issues. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure Monitor monitors and analyzes infrastructure and network performance to identify issues in real time, but is incorrect because it does not monitor or warn at the service level. Question 1. How can you avoid unknowingly incurring costs above a certain level in your Azure account? Option 1. Set billing alerts for billing information in Azure Monitor. 2. Set Azure spending limits in Azure Advisor. 3. Automate Azure Portal subscription suspension. 4. Set Azure spending limits in the Account Center. Right answer is 4. Set Azure spending limits in the Account Center. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. If you don't want to spend more than a certain amount, you can set a spending limit in the Account Center. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Monitor is a service that monitors and analyzes infrastructure and network performance and identifies problems in real time. Option 2 is incorrect. You can't limit spending in Azure Advisor. Option 3 is incorrect. You cannot set limits to automatically stop your subscription. Question 2. Which Azure AD features can enable multi-factor authentication for administrators but will not require multi-factor authentication for regular users? Option 1. Privileged ID Management, PIM. 2. Signed URL Settings. 3. Azure Policy Settings. 4. Access Key Management. Right answer is 1. Privileged ID Management, PIM. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. Azure Active Directory, Azure AD Privileged Identity Management, PIM, allows you to limit continuous administrator access to privileged roles, detect users with permissions, and check the status of privileged access. Therefore, limiting continuous administrator access to privileged roles eliminates the need for multi-factor authentication for regular users. Option 2 is incorrect. Assigned URL is a URL with limited permissions and an expiration date at the time of request. The signed URL gives the user read access for a limited time to the relevant resource, but it is incorrect because it cannot prevent multi-factor authentication from being required. Option 3 is incorrect. It is incorrect because it is a useful feature for large-scale assessment of compliance. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure generates two 512-bit storage account access keys. These keys are used for authentication when accessing the data in your storage account using shared key authentication. This is incorrect as it cannot be made without the need for multi-factor authentication. Question 3. True or false? You can control access to your application through Azure Active Directory, but you can't control your application's resources. Option 1. True. 2. False. Right answer is 2. False. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Azure AD enables you to monitor and control your access to your applications and sessions in real time. You also use role assignments to control access to Azure resources. Question 4. Which of the following can Azure App Service Environment host? Please select 2. Option 1. Database Script 2. Docker Container 3. Batch 4. Packaged Code 5. Functions. Right answer is 2. Docker Container 5. Functions. Explanation. Options 2 and 5 are correct. Azure App Service is a fully managed web hosting service for building web apps, mobile backend, and RESTful API. Azure App Service Environment is a feature of Azure App Service that provides a completely separate and dedicated environment for running app service apps on a large scale and safely. This feature can host Windows Web Application, Linux Web Application, Docker Container, Mobile App, Functions. Question 5. What are the characteristics of traffic control using application gateways? Option 1. Azure Application Gateway replaces the functionality of Azure Load Balancer. 2. Azure Application Gateway implements load balancing of L4 layer traffic. 3. The Application Gateway can control traffic based on the URL. 4. The Application Gateway encrypts the communication by SSL. Right answer is 3. The Application Gateway can control traffic based on the URL. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. The Application Gateway provides a load balancer function specialized for WEB servers. Therefore, load distribution is possible from attributes such as URI paths. Azure Application Gateway is a web traffic load balancer that can manage traffic to your web applications. Traditional load balancers operate at the transport layer, OC layer for TCP and UT, and route traffic based on source IP addresses/ports to destination IP addresses/ports. Option 1 is incorrect. The Azure Load Balancer supports communication between the client and server using TCP and UDP protocols. Load distribution by URI path is not performed. Both Azure Load Balancer Basic/Standard are L4. Transport layer load balancing services and their usage is different. Therefore, it is necessary to use it properly from Azure Application Gateway and Azure. Application Gateway does not eliminate the need for Azure Load Balancer. Option 2 is incorrect. This is a feature of Azure Load Balancer. Option 4 is incorrect. Communication is not encrypted by SSL. Question 6. Choose the correct description of the Azure resources, which are defined as Compute Resources. Option 1. Customer Gateway 2. Application Gateway 3. Virtual Machine 4. VPN Gateway? Right answer is 4. They are resources that use the CPU to perform tasks. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. All resources that use the CPU to perform tasks are called computing resources. Option 1 is incorrect. Virtual machines and Azure functions are typical Azure services for computing resources, but there are other services in Azure that are computing resources. For example, Docker also starts a virtual server as computing. Option 2 is incorrect. Services that can make API requests are services for API management, not necessarily computing resources. Option 3 is incorrect. A storable resource with a storage volume is not a service that uses the CPU to perform tasks. Such a service is called a storage service. Question 7. True or false? If your existing Azure policy doesn't provide enough specific details, you can create your own. Option 1. True. 2. False. Right answer is 1. True. Explanation. The correct answer is true. You can create your own policy in JSON format. Azure policies evaluate the properties of resources in Azure by comparing them to business rules. These business rules, written in JSON format, are called policy definitions. You can use this policy definition to create your own policy. Question 8. Which Azure services can use the Apache Hadoop Big Data Analytics tool? Option 1. Azure EMR 2. Azure HD Insight. 3. Azure Hadoop Services. 4. Azure Data Factory. Right answer is 2. Azure HD Insight. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. Azure HD Insight is an open-source enterprise analytics service. You can use open-source frameworks such as Hadoop, Apache Spark, Apache Hive, LAP, Apache Kafka, Apache Storm, and R. Option 1 is incorrect. There is no service called Azure EMR. Option 3 is incorrect. There is no service called Azure Hadoop Services. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Data Factory is a service, ETL service, that extracts data from multiple systems, converts/processes the extracted data, and then passes it to a data warehouse. Question 9. What management tool has a graphical user interface to manage Azure resources? Option 1. PowerShell 2. Azure CLI. 3. RDP 4. SSH 5. Azure Portal. Right answer is 5. Azure Portal. Explanation. Option 5 is the correct answer. Azure Portal is a website used to manage resources in Azure. You can manage Azure resources using the graphical user interface. Option 1 is incorrect. PowerShell is a CLI shell, but you can't manage Azure resources using the graphical user interface. Option 2 is incorrect. The Azure CLI is used to process services using the command line, but cannot manage Azure resources using a graphical user interface. Option 3 is incorrect. RDP, Remote Desktop Protocol, is a protocol used in remote desktop that transfers the screen of a server computer to another computer, client, via a network for display and operation. Option 4 is incorrect. SSH is a protocol for securely communicating with remote computers using encryption and authentication technologies. Question 10. Choose the correct amount of default credits you get when you first create your Azure free account. Option 1. US dollar 1002, US dollar 203, US dollar 504, US dollar 300. Right answer is 2. US dollar 200. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. You have up to $200 in the first month. Question 11. True or false? The user is responsible for the security of the Azure Storage Account Access Key. Option 1. True. 2. False. Right answer is 1. True. Explanation. The correct answer is true. Azure users are responsible for protecting the access keys given and regenerating them if they are published or leaked. When you create a storage account, Azure generates two 512-bit storage account access keys. These keys are used for authentication when accessing the data in your storage account using shared key authentication. Azure Key Vault is used to manage access keys, and users are required to rotate and regenerate keys on a regular basis. Question 12. Which container is used to collect logs and metrics from various Azure resources? Option 1. Log Analytics Workspace 2. Additional Log Storage 3. Additional Blob Storage 4. Azure Monitor Space. Right answer is 1. Log Analytics Workspace. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. Log Analytics Workspace allows you to collect data from Azure resources in your subscription. Option 2 is incorrect. There is no service called Additional Log Storage. Option 3 is incorrect. Additional Blob Storage is a blob storage that consists of blocks and is optimized for additional operations. Option 4 is incorrect. There is no service called Azure Monitor Space. Question 13. Select all the tools that can deploy resources according to the Azure Resource Manager model. Option 1. Azure Portal 2, Powershell, free. Clyde 4, REST API 5, SDK. Right answer is 1. Azure Portal 2, Powershell, 3. Clyde 4, REST API 5, SDK. Explanation. The options 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are correct. You can use all of these methods to deploy or manage your resources using Azure Resource Manager. Option 1 Azure Portal is a GUI tool. You can deploy or manage resources using Azure Resource Manager from the web screen. Option 2 PowerShell is a command line tool. You can use Azure Resource Manager with command operations to deploy or manage resources. Option 3 CLI is a command line tool. You can use Azure Resource Manager with command operations to deploy or manage resources. Option 4 REST API allows resource manipulation by API call. Option 5 Azure SDK is a collection of libraries built to make it easy to use Azure services in your language of choice. You can use Azure Resource Manager from the SDK to deploy or manage resources. Question 14. You need to launch a virtual machine with an instance type that is currently restricted by an Azure policy. What should you do to launch this instance type? Option 1. Start the virtual machine with an account that has contributor or higher privileges for the resource group you plan to start. 2. Start the virtual machine by the subscription owner administrator. 3. Start the virtual machine by the account administrator. 4. Delete the policy and then start the virtual machine. Right answer is 4. Delete the policy and then start the virtual machine. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. You cannot start a virtual machine that violates the policy, so you must delete the policy first. Option 1 is incorrect. You cannot start a virtual machine that violates the policy, regardless of the permissions on the resource group. Option 2 is incorrect. Even the owner of the subscription cannot start a virtual machine that violates the policy. Option 3 is incorrect. Even the account administrator cannot start a virtual machine that violates the policy. Question 15. What do you use to protect your Azure Virtual Network subnet? Option 1. WAF 2. Azure Firewall 3. Azure DDoS Protection Standard 4. Network Security Group. Right answer is 4. Network Security Group. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. A network security group is a service that manages network traffic sent and received by Azure resources in a virtual network. Option 1 is incorrect. WAF is one of the security measures to protect web applications from attacks that exploit vulnerabilities in web applications and has nothing to do with subnet protection. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Firewall is a service that protects the virtual network itself, not a service that protects subnets inside the virtual network. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure DDoS Protection Standard is a service that prevents distributed denial of service (DDoS) attacks. Question 16. Which tools can be used to estimate the future cost of Azure services? Option 1. Azure Pricing Tool 2. Trust Center. 3. Azure Cost Management. 4. Azure TCO Calculation Tool. Right answer is 1. Azure Pricing Tool. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. You can use the Azure Billing Tool to calculate future costs based on usage estimates. Option 2 is incorrect. The Trust Center summarizes Microsoft's security, privacy, and compliance efforts. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure Cost Management can report on costs and usage and categorize costs, but it can't estimate future costs. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure TCO Calculator is a service that estimates the total cost of ownership, TCO, of your system and cannot predict future costs. Question 17. Which is the function of Azure Active Directory that allows users to log in using a smartphone, among other alternatives? Option 1. Azure Information Protection, APE. 2. Multi-Password 3. Azure Security Center 4. Multi-Factor Authentication. Right answer is 4. Multi-Factor Authentication. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. Multi-Factor Authentication, MFA, is an authentication method that requires elements that are difficult for an unknown hacker to obtain when signing up and logging in. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Information Protection is a service that detects, classifies, and protects documents and emails. Option 2 is incorrect. A feature called multi-password does not exist in Active Directory. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure Security Center is a service that diagnoses and protects security and detects threats on a subscription-by-subscription basis. Question 18. Which optional settings can be upgraded to protect against DDoS attacks? Option 1. Azure DDoS Protection Advanced 2. Azure DDoS Protection Basic 3. Azure Advanced Threat Protection, Azure ATP. 4. Azure DDoS Protection Standard. Right answer is 4. Azure DDoS Protection Standard. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. Multi-factor authentication, MFA, is an authentication method that requires elements that are difficult for an unknown hacker to obtain when signing up and logging in. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Information Protection is a service that detects, classifies, and protects documents and emails. Option 2 is incorrect. A feature called multi-password does not exist in Active Directory. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure Security Center is a service that diagnoses and protects security and detects threats on a subscription-by-subscription basis. Question 19. Which Azure tools can be used to track compliance with the various international standards and government laws? Option 1. Microsoft Privacy Statement. 2. Azure Security Center. 3. Compliance Manager. 4. Service Trust Portal. Right answer is 3. Compliance Manager. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Compliance Manager can manage your organization's compliance requirements and track compliance with different standards and laws. Option 1 is incorrect. The Microsoft Privacy Statement is a statement that describes the types of personal data processed by Microsoft, how it is processed, and what it is used for. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Security Center is a service that diagnoses and protects security and detects threats on a subscription-by-subscription basis. Option 4 is incorrect. The Service Trust Portal summarizes Microsoft's commitment to security and compliance. Question 20. You are required to reduce the cost of Azure for your medium to long-term applications. Choose the method that works best for this. Option 1. Use Azure Reserved VM for all virtual servers. 2. Change all virtual servers to Azure Spot VM. 3. Change all virtual servers to Azure-only hosts. 4. Use Azure policies to limit expensive virtual machine types. Right answer is 1. Use Azure Reserved VM for all virtual servers. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. Reserved VM can often save you more than 40% from pay-as-you-go pricing. Option 2 is incorrect. Although you can save money by using Spot VM, it is not optimal to change all virtual servers to Spot VM because Spot VM do not guarantee high availability. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure-only hosts prevent you from sharing your physical server with other Azure users. It is commonly used to meet compliance requirements and is not the best way to reduce costs. Option 4 is incorrect. Limiting expensive virtual machine types and lowering virtual machine specs is not optimal as it can affect the quality of your application. Also, limiting expensive virtual machine types does not save you money if you did not use the originally expensive virtual machine types. Question 1. What are the benefits of using multiple Azure subscriptions? Option 1. It is used when you want to separate resources while consolidating resource payments. 2. Split your subscription if you want to isolate your network. 3. Use this when you want to separate payments for each project while integrating resource management. 4. You would split your subscription when using the free tier. Right answer is 1. It is used when you want to separate resources while consolidating resource payments. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. Subscriptions provide a management boundary. When setting permissions for operations on Azure resources, you can create multiple subscriptions in one Azure account, but payments can also be integrated in your Azure account. Option 2 is incorrect. Use Azure Virtual Network to isolate the network. Option 3 is incorrect. If you split your subscription, you will not be able to integrate resource management. Option 4 is incorrect. Splitting your subscription does not increase your free tier. Question 2. What are the new data privacy and information protection regulations that came into effect across Europe in May 2018? Option 1. ISO 15002, GDPR 3, ISO 9001-4, PCI DSS. Right answer is 2. GDPR. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. The General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, has replaced the EU Data Protection Directive 95 as a law governing the protection of personal data within the EU. Option 1 is incorrect. ISO 15000 is an international standard for languages, marked as Electronic Business Extensible. Option 3 is incorrect. ISO 9001 is an international standard for quality management systems. Option 4 is incorrect. PCI DSS is a security standard for the credit card industry, designed to handle credit card member data safely. Question 3. Choose an international organization that develops international standards for privacy and compliance. Option 1. ISMS 2, GDPR 3, Intelligence and Security Office 4, International Organization for Standardization. Right answer is 4. International Organization for Standardization. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. ISO is an independent organization that aims to provide global mutual aid for international standards and provides common standards among nations. Option 1 is incorrect. ISMS is a framework for managing the security of information assets in an organization. Option 2 is incorrect. The GDPR is a new data privacy and information protection regulation that came into force across Europe in May 2018. Option 3 is incorrect. There is no international organization called the Intelligence and Security Office. Question 4. Which database service is specially designed to respond very fast to low latency data processing requests? Option 1. SQL Database 2, SQL Data Warehouse. 3. Cosmos DB 4, Azure HD Insight. Right answer is P3, Cosmos DB. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Azure Cosmos DB is a fully managed NoSQL database service with low latency, high availability, and automatic and immediate scalability. Option 1 is incorrect. SQL Database is a fully managed database service, but it is not specific to use cases where low latency response is required. Option 2 is incorrect. SQL Data Warehouse is a service that brings together tools for data warehousing and big data analysis. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure HD Insight is an open-source enterprise analytics service. You can use open-source frameworks such as Hadoop, Apache Spark, Apache Hive, LAP, Apache Kafka, Apache Storm. Question 5. Which of the below corresponds to the minimum SLA that an availability set has when more than one virtual machine is deployed in the same AZ? Option 1. 99.999%. 2. 99.90%. 3. 99.95%. 4. 99.99%. Right answer is 3. 99.95%. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. If all virtual machines have 2 or more instances deployed on the same availability set or the same dedicated host group, Microsoft guarantees you will have virtual machine connectivity to at least one instance at least 99.95% of the time. Question 6. What are the benefits of using command line tools such as PowerShell or CLI? Option 1. Command execution can be automated. 2. You can start the VM quickly. 3. The usage fee is low. 4. Graphical and easy to use. Right answer is 1. Command execution can be automated. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. You can automate command execution by creating scripts using command line tools. Option 2 is incorrect. Using command line tools does not change the startup speed of the VM. Option 3 is incorrect. Even if you use the command line tool, the usage fee does not change. Option 4 is incorrect. Command line tools do not provide a graphical user interface. Question 7. What is the maximum amount of Azure storage space that can be stored in one subscription? Option 1. 5 TB. 2. Effectively unlimited 32 TB. 4. 100 TB. Right answer is 2. Effectively unlimited. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. A single Azure subscription can have up to 250 storage accounts per region, and each storage account can store up to 5 petabytes. That's a total of 31 million terabytes, which is effectively unlimited, as far as most users are concerned. Question 8. How many subscriptions can a user associate with an account? Option 1. No limit. 2. 10. 3. 104. 5. Right answer is 1. No limit. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. There is no limit to the number of subscriptions that can be associated with an account. Question 9. What is the concept of Azure region pairs? Option 1. A region pair is a geographical region in which two Azure regions are configured, such as the West Japan region and the East Japan region. 2. Data placed in one region is automatically replicated to another region. The replication destination and the original region at that time are called a region pair. 3. Azure regions have one or more associated regions that they share very fast connections with, and Azure is configured to prevent both from going down at the same time. This is called a region pair. 4. Two AZ are configured in the region and are paired. This is called a region pair. Right answer is 3. Azure regions have one or more associated regions that they share very fast connections with, and Azure is configured to prevent both from going down at the same time. This is called a region pair. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. An Azure region pair is a relationship between two Azure regions within the same geographic region for disaster recovery purposes. In the event of a disaster or failure in one of the regions, services in that region will automatically fail over to the secondary region in that region of the pair. For example, the pair in the north-central United States is the south-central United States. Question 10. Where do you go from the Azure portal to find all third-party virtual machines and other offers? Option 1. Azure App Store. 2. Azure VM Store. 3. Azure Resource Group. 4. Azure Marketplace. Right answer is 4. Azure Marketplace. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. Azure Marketplace is an integrated platform created by combining multiple Microsoft Azure partner ecosystems that allows Azure users to easily find, buy, and deploy a variety of applications and services with just a few clicks. Option 1 is incorrect. There is no service called Azure App Store. Option 2 is incorrect. There is no service called Azure VM Store. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure Resource Groups are management layers that allow you to create, update, and delete resources in your Azure account. Question 11. What are the advantages of using PowerShell over the CLI? Option 1. It can be used free of charge. 2. Command settings can be automated. 3. Rapid deployment of virtual machines. 4. No functional difference. Right answer is 4. No functional difference. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. There is no functional difference between CLI and PowerShell, and it is common to use the one you have set up with tools that are easy to use that suit your use case. Question 12. Which tools or services will find issues affecting the Azure Global Network? Please select all that apply. Option 1. Azure Monitor. 2. Azure Updates. 3. Resource Health Blade for each virtual machine. 4. Azure Service Health. Right answer is 1. Azure Monitor. 3. Resource Health Blade for each virtual machine. 4. Azure Service Health. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. Azure Monitor collects metrics from a variety of on-premises and Azure resources. Resource Health lets you know if your resources are available. Option 3 is the correct answer. The Virtual Machine Resource Health Blade allows you to check the health of each virtual machine. Option 4 is the correct answer. Azure Service Health provides a customizable dashboard that tracks the health of Azure services in the region you're using. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Updates get the latest updates on Azure products and features. Question 13. You use RDP when accessing your Windows server. Also, you use SSH when accessing your Linux server. Select all recommendations to secure these protocols. Option 1. Disable RDP access using Windows Services Control Panel, Administrative Tools. 2. Do not allow direct public internet access to the server through RDP and SSH ports. 3. Since access from the internet using the RDP and SSH protocols is required, it is necessary to allow direct public internet access to the server through the RDP and SSH ports. 4. Enable RDP access using the Windows Services Control Panel, Administrative Tools. 5. Set up access from the public internet using the Bastion server. Right answer is 2. Do not allow direct public internet access to the server through RDP and SSH ports. 5. Set up access from the public internet using the Bastion server. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. You need to control access to RDP and SSH ports to a very specific range of IP, or enable the ports only if you are using them. Option 5 is the correct answer. It is necessary to allow access only through the Bastion server and restrict access from the public internet. Option 1 is incorrect. If you disable RDP access, you will not be able to access it using RDP. Option 3 is incorrect. It is recommended to avoid direct access from the public internet. Option 4 is incorrect. Enabling RDP access is not a security recommendation in of itself. Question 14. Which is considered part of the architectural security layer? Option 1. Subnet configuration. 2. Virtual network configuration. 3. Firewall configuration. 4. Azure CDN configuration. Right answer is 3. Firewall configuration. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. A firewall is a type of perimeter security that operates above the transport layer. This acts as a security layer. Options 1 and 2 are incorrect. Subnets and virtual networks make up the network layer. Option 4 is incorrect. CDNs is a content delivery network that constitutes the network layer. Question 15. True or false? Providing services in response to changes in the market is an example of agility. Option 1. True 2. False. Right answer is 1. True. Explanation. The correct answer is true. Agility, which is a characteristic of the cloud, is a feature that enables us to respond quickly to changes in the market and provide services because the cloud is available on demand at any time. Question 16. True or false? The ability to recover quickly in the event of a major failure is an example of agility. Option 1. True 2. False. Right answer is 2. False. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Being able to recover quickly from a failure is called resilience. Question 17. True or false? The availability of resources on demand is an example of scalability. Option 1. True 2. False. Right answer is 1. True. Explanation. The correct answer is true. Being able to scale resources according to your needs is called scalability. Question 18. True or false? Achieving a flexible infrastructure configuration is an example of agility. Option 1. True 2. False. Right answer is 2. False. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Flexible configuration and resource allocation is called flexibility or elasticity. Question 19. True or false? Content moderators can generate audio from text. Option 1. True 2. False. Right answer is 2. False. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Content Moderator is a computer-aided content moderation API and a visual review tool for images, text, and videos. You can detect images that can be offensive or unpleasant and filter text that contains abusive or inappropriate expressions. Question 20. True or false? QA Maker can generate text from voice. Option 1. True 2. False. Right answer is 2. False. Explanation. The correct answer is false. QA Maker is a cloud-based API service that creates an interactive queue and a layer based on existing data. You can use this service to extract questions and answers from semi-structured content such as FAQ, manuals, and documents to build your knowledge base. Choose the best answer from the knowledge base. QA and automatically answer these questions. By continuously learning from user behavior, the knowledge base will become smarter.